Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Sejanus, his fall, and we get to hear from Macro today in Act 3, Scene 3. Now, Macro is another sort of sycophant who just kisses Sejanus' boots and Tiberius' boots. He's on that side of things. He's against the Agrippina crew. And he has been called in because Tiberius is now wary of Sejanus because of a conversation that they had in Act 3, Scene 2. In Act 3, Scene 2, Sejanus and Tiberius were chatting about how everything was going, and they liked the whole trial bit, all of that. But then Sejanus asked if he could marry Livia, and now Tiberius is thinking that Sejanus has gotten maybe a little too big for his britches. But he knows that he himself can't knock Sejanus down a peg or two because he's been the one that's been raising Sejanus up. So if he raises him up and then knocks him down, that looks really bad. He needs somebody else to do it. So he calls in Macro, and he wants Macro to undo Sejanus, basically. He wants the two of them, since they are both sort of rivals in wanting to climb the political ladder, he wants the two of them to sort of cancel each other out. If they end up killing each other, great. If they just undo each other's political power, great. So he called Macro in and was like, Macro, hi, I got a thing. I need to ask you. You're so great. You're so great. I need to ask you to just spy on Sejanus and the rest of the Agrippina crew, but just spy on them. Use whatever means you need. I'm going to be leaving town for a hot minute, so you're going to be my eyes and ears here, and nobody can know that I asked you to do this. And if anybody asks why I even asked you here today, you were getting my carriage ready. So yeah, you're just gonna spy on a bunch of people for me for a little while I'm gone. Okay, right? Cool. And then Tiberius exits, and Macro is left by himself on the stage to say, I will not ask why Caesar bids do this, but joy that he bids me. It is the bliss of courts to be employed no matter how. A prince's power makes all his actions virtue. We, whom he works by, are dumb instruments, to do but not inquire. His great intents are to be served, not searched. Yet, as that bow is most in hand, whose owner best doth know to effect his aims, so let that statesman hope most use, most price, can hit his prince's scope. Nor must he look at what or whom to strike, but loose at all. Each mark must be alike. Were it to plot against the fame, the life of one with whom I twinned, remove a wife from my warm side, as loved as is the air, practice sway each parent, draw mine heir in compass, though but one, work all my kin to swift perdition, leave no untrained engine for friendship or for innocence. Nay, make the gods all guilty. I would undertake this, being imposed me, both with gain and ease. The way to rise is to obey and please. He that will thrive in state, he must neglect the trodden paths that truth and right respect, and prove new, wilder ways. For virtue there is not that narrow thing, she is elsewhere. Men's fortune there is virtue, reason their will, their license law, and their observance skill. Occasion is their foil, conscience their stain, profit their luster, and what else is? Vain. If then it be the lust of Caesar's power to have raised Sejanus up, and in an hour o'erturn him, tumbling down from height of all, we are his ready engine, and his fall may be our rise. It is no uncouth thing to see fresh buildings from old ruins spring. So this is Macro saying, don't ask, don't tell, and sharing his mischievous, nefarious lack of morals with the audience, basically. He starts out saying, I don't care why he's asking me to do this. I'm going to do whatever it is that he wants, because as a servant to Caesar, to the emperor, this is my job, to do whatever he wants. And the better I do that, the better I am going to be esteemed by him. So if I had to kill my brother, if I had to get rid of a wife, if I had to overthrow my parents, whatever it is that he wants, I'm going to do. And I'm just going to trust that he has a plan for me, because this is what I want. It benefits him, therefore he will benefit me. So if he wants to, inflate Sejanus up to the highest of highs and then knock him right down, I'm perfectly happy to be the one to knock him down, because in doing so, I might get to take his place. So good on me. I'm totally ready for this. And that's the end of the scene. What's really interesting about this is that this monologue is also rhyming. It's an AABB rhyme scheme. There's one or two lines that don't seem to quite rhyme. I think he matches how and virtue, but that's one of those things that might just be the way that the accent has changed over the years. And in one of the videos a long time ago, I talked about original pronunciation, and that there are people trying to figure out what the accent of this time period actually sounded like in England and in London. And these are things that they would look at. I mean, we have this, bliss, how, virtue, instruments, intense, bow, no, hope, scope, and it keeps going through the rest of the thing. So they would take a look at how the word how and how the word virtue might have changed over time in such a way that they used to rhyme back then, and then build out an accent around those vowel sounds. But anyway, that lovely bit of nerdiness aside, this whole monologue rhymes, which says, again, like, he thinks that this is a game. Sejanus has rhymed at us before. They're all just playing at politics. They're having fun with it. They're mocking it. They're reveling in it. They're getting a kick out of it. That they have all of these things rhyme. And what's also interesting about this is how many times there's a pause in the middle of the verse line for him. Because if you're studying verse, when you get to the end of a verse line, you need to think of what's the trigger that's going to make me say the next verse line. So it's just a real quick and who, blah, 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 or and what, blah, 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 into the next line. But also if you see a semicolon in the middle of a line, that's an opportunity to take a breath and change tactics. And he has a lot of those, especially when he's listing off the things that he would do in order to climb the ladder, spurning a wife, messing with his parents, killing a twin, all these sorts of things. There's all these chops in the middle of the line. So you get a breath in the middle of the verse line and a breath at the end of the verse line. So he does sound a little like maybe hyper, maybe he's trying to hype himself up for this kind of thing. I don't know. It's just interesting stuff that you can play with as you're working on this monologue, if you ever get a chance to perform it. So some interesting insight into Macro, who is now going to be a foil for Sejanus. And we do actually get at the end of this a reference to Sejanus' fall. He says, we are his ready engine, and his fall, Sejanus' his fall, being the title of the play. So anyway, just some fun stuff to think about there. And come on back tomorrow for more, and we will see how all of these various plots unravel. See you then. Mwah.